sense of themselves. I mean, I really felt the energy, and I knew that I was dealing with something real. They had been transformed at the level of the cell, as I say, and I wanted to know more about that. So that's what got me into it. I was just kind of hooked into it because I was searching for answers to why I could see my dead friend 6 months after supposedly I put him in a mausoleum in Huntsville, Alabama.
Whoops.
And,
you still there? Okay.
And looks like a satellite link there going up. I really, maybe we're connected to the beyond right now, George. And so what I did was I started collecting the information and interviewing and taking notes and et cetera, and I realized there was a common theme there. Number one, they were not only talking about surviving death, they were talking about the earth transformations to come. Some even mentioned 2012. Again, this was about 1988, 89, 90. They were talking about a 20-year period that would begin basically around 1992 and run through 2012, and that if we didn't get our act together basically by then, there was going to be a dire consequence to pay, and one of those things would be a huge event on the sun, and this would lead to a pole shift. Now, again, we're not talking about flipping end over end. We're talking about a huge ectoplasmic ball, as some of them described it to me, would be kind of like a shot across the bow on the Earth from the sun. It would be several times bigger than any existing planet, but they did not say it was going to fry the Earth or anything like that, but they said it would trigger the melting of the ice caps, that it would trigger a pole shift. And so again, that was kind of the worst case scenario.
Now, the near-death experiences, which you also call spontaneous remote viewing, allows us really to travel and to do all kinds of incredible things. Now, with this shift, or with the changes of the pole shift and everything else, how do we know these aren't dreams, John?
Well, I would say at the first level, you probably can't know if anything is real, because I think this is a dream. The shaman says that, we're dreaming the world into existence at every moment. And guess what? If you corner a quantum physicist, they'll have to admit at some point that particles are blinking in and out of existence through the zero-point field, and that we're recreating not only ourselves but the planet and the entire cosmos second by second, in fact, several times per second. And so it's just like watching a movie where you're looking through the individual frames, and as you start speeding it up, it becomes more solid, more real, and you actually get captured in the film, in the movie, and you can't even for a moment, separate yourself from the events in front of you. So that, real quickly, is what the shaman would tell you is going on. So the near-death experience to me is suddenly slowing down this illusion, you might say, long enough to see the individual frames that are going on behind the scene.
Well, what do you think, though, John? Because this is what puzzles me. What is on the other side? I mean, earlier you were talking about how, we have this existence now and this existence later. We should get ready, prepare ourselves. What really is on the other side?
It's that multi-dimensions of reality. There's no one heaven, so to speak. I've been told by those I've interviewed that for every major religion there's a realm of space and time for that particular belief system. Just like we've separated each other geographically here and culturally here, the beyond is also separated. So because the Creator respects individuality and also cherishes our own uniqueness as individuals, and that's something that really came home to me in interviewing people. They become very non-judgmental folks. Most of them are not what I would call religious, but they're extremely spiritual. And again, what I'm talking about is they talk to you from their heart center, not from their head. They don't try to intellectualize or try to convince you of the truthfulness of what they've experienced. They just said, this is it, if you can use it, so be it. But to answer your question as a scientist, I've interviewed medical doctors, in fact, who've had near-death experiences, and I've written about them in my book, and I share some, like George Ritchie, MD, for example, was a psychiatrist in Virginia, and he died for 9 minutes, and what he experienced was 3 different realms of existence that exist right above our heads, that there's 3 levels beyond the surface of the earth. And what's in those realms? It's in the magnetosphere of this planet, and what's in those realms is laboratories, is incredible schools, incredible learning facilities. There's music, going on. There's all kinds of amphitheaters, and it's just phenomenal kind of things. Just cities beyond cities, right above our head at a higher dimensional vibration rate, very real, made out of crystalline substance. A lot of talking about glass cathedrals and structures, but after you hear enough of these, George, you realize that the cosmos is like this huge layer cake or even an onion, and you just start peeling layer off of layer, and you get to the deeper realities that are more permanent because they're at this higher vibration rate of energy. They don't decay like our earth elements do.
You say we're all shamans at heart.
Yes. Yeah, I think we're looking for that contact with the other side. I think that's what, of course, our religions are about. Every time we get a prophet or a seer or a visionary to come and tell us about that, we either, string them up, or, we try to make them so unique that their story can't resonate with enough people, only a small band or culture of people. And I think that's where we got into a problem. But now, as we start, we have this view from space that the astronauts have given us. And if we can start just thinking from that perspective, this was Joseph Campbell's idea. The new myth must include the earth, the whole earth as a living organism. And I see that as the starting point. When you start having a little local trouble, you might say, why don't you just put your mind up with the astronauts on the International Space Station for a moment, look down at the Earth and see it. It's a seamless whole. So which part of it do you want to destroy or cut out from your future?
Are we creating these major changes now on this planet by our own energy?
Yes, I think that, again, it's collective, and that, again, the work of Heart Math and Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton and others like this ilk, what they're saying is, that the heart is putting out like 5,000 times more magnetic energy than the brain. And so, it's like our brain is sitting here trying to figure things out, but it's really day to day we're trying to feel like we're alive. And again, Joseph Campbell was confronted with this question by Bill Moyer, who said, what we're looking for is the meaning of life. And Joseph Campbell jumped on that immediately, said, no, what we're looking for is the experience of feeling alive. So our society is damped down and dumb now for many reasons, and we're trying to all find our truth again. We're trying to find out why are we here, and where are we going, and what's going to happen. And the truth is, from my perspective, that's yet to be determined. We have to rewrite the story now from a larger perspective and pull all of us together to this new higher level, this higher order of consciousness, which includes everybody, excludes no one.
Back to near-death experiences for a moment. Some of these visions show an eruption of our sun that would occur around 2012. Do you believe the Mayans, through this same technique, that could be one of the ways they were able to get this information?
Yes, I think the shamans were able to, again, tap the Akashic records, this energy field, this magnetosphere that circles our globe each and every second, and that information can be translated into symbols, and they were masters at symbolism, in the work of John Anthony West. And why is he a symbolist? Because the Egyptians knew this. They knew that those symbols, those hieroglyphs, had a deeper meaning than just for human communication, that they were given by a higher mind of Gaia. And so, they're written in animal picture form, for example, and they have meaning to someone, a shaman, who can read that. For just a quick example, we talk about someone being sly as a fox or hungry as a bear or stubborn as a mule. Well, when you're a shaman, you can sense the energies in the plants and the animals, and you really realize that you are anthropomorphizing, you are adding a human quality to them, but vice versa, you realize those animals and plants are within you, within your DNA.
It's a science behind some of this, John.
Yes, and Pythagoras knew this too, and he called it the science of the soul. And he said that dreams and deep sleep and trance could bring this symbolic information to someone who would train themselves to become lucid in their dreams or knew how to enter into a trance state. When I say trance, I don't mean the Svengali kind of thing, and I'm not even talking about medically as a clinical hypnotherapist, which I did for a number of years. I'm